since at least I remember, is that in absence of news, markets tend to go up. We've had kind of a few news-free days, right? Things have been pretty light out there. No, nothing too scary. No tweeting. So, in general, the market's been kind of drifting higher. We have been oversold, and we were oversold really for like 5, 6, 7 days. So now we're making our push. Just as we've been watching the last few days, what we got to do is make sure to see how do we react around that 180 spot. Do we start to fade off there? We got multiple levels of support, or do we start to re-roll, right? So we'll keep an eye on these levels. In the meantime, like, this is a pretty sharp bounce, though. The one thing, is you're always looking at, of course, the chart, but then you also want to feel the nature of the bounce. How's the price action? Are individual stocks breaking out? One thing you'll notice is, right, we were pretty active the last couple days because there's just a lot more stuff to trade. Not just was the market going and getting led by large caps, but you saw mid caps going, you saw small caps going, tech stocks, all sorts of stuff started to run. You saw really some incredible runs in software names and stuff like that. So we had healthy price action that tells us that there was some actual real buying going on. We're just looking for tradable markets. Okay, so far so good. We'll see. We're getting into resistance zones also in the SPY. So we'll see how we handle this gap. Because remember, this is day 4 of the move. Day 4 of the move is a lot trickier than day 1 and day 2, right? Because now you're starting to get extended. You can already see our 97 stochastics on the SPY. Don't be surprised to see. Don't be surprised to see a little bit of a roll. You probably won't get a big one back just because it's been so strong, but expect some kind of pullbacks or, some type of red at some point today, and then they'll probably buy up the dip. That's just how it goes. So there's 2 actions. On your daily chart, if you're really extended and you're overbought, yes, technical analysis tells you that, we should pull back. But if internally, in terms of the actual numbers of the market and the price action is not showing you any type of weakness, then you can actually stay overbought for a long time, right? And since we were kind of really oversold, it's okay to have get into that overbought zone and start to pop a little bit. But it will be hard to have a big day on a day 4. So, at some point, watch and see, you might start to roll back over and everybody be like, oh shit, here comes the bear market again. And then the dips get bought and you'll get that kind of back and forth of more of a range day. Range days are fine as long as the market is healthy. Range days stink when the market sucks because nothing's really breaking out or breaking down. But a flat day in a good market is the best day to trade because you don't have to watch the market and individual stocks will still keep breaking out. Some earnings plays today. This BYND's gapping up on earnings. Man, it's up a lot though. I wonder if we need a little bit of a pullback here, man. It's tough to chase a $30 gap on a stock, no matter how amazing it is or trades. Man, I like this, but I like it on pullbacks. I think the ZM looks a little bit better because you're right at the IPO breakout. So you're not going to be you're not going to be so extended coming off. And then, this one's only up 16% versus 24%, blah, blah, blah. You're right at that breakout spot. So if this thing can chill for a second, then you're going to take out this level. You can see it's starting to align on multiple time frames. That one's going to look really nice. I like that one. That's my favorite. Caesar's got some earnings out today or some kind of deal or something. Oh, yeah. Finalizing merger deal with El Dorado. Seeks, blah, 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 blah. We'll see if this thing starts to go. PD's got earnings out today, but it's kind of gapping up into no man's land. So this one is not on the top of my list. It would need to get over 51 and a half, 52 to really get going. Till that happens, it's a no-go. What's up, Robbie? Hi. Holanda, what's going on? Armin, what's going on? Chris, how you doing? Mr. Shoesmith. Domo, I like this one actually a little bit better. As long as it stays under the 200 SMA, I think that this one has a chance. Remember, guys, so if a stock gaps down like this and it has some type of earnings out, right? We're not just taking it to take it. What you need to see is a pattern, right? So at the open, we have 3 different patterns that we trade. We have ORBs, quick pullback buys, and then red to green, green to reds, right? And if you guys are new to the chat room or whatever, just check on YouTube. I have tons of videos on those 3 specific patterns. So you get the overall daily look, which is, okay, this thing's got bad earnings out. So now then you want to move intraday to find a pattern that aligns with what your overall thesis is on what's happening on the daily chart. So like this one's all right. If this thing starts to cruise down, right, and we get ORB, so that means 1 candle, 2 candle, 3 candle, then go, or right, a pullback, right? So you can go either or. You know, the other thing that has been working really well in this market and that we have to be mindful of is sometimes like these things gap down and then they just pop up hard, right? Because they're just like so oversold on a short-term basis. Watch for the VWAP fizzler. You know, I was going through a lot of stocks yesterday, and man, there were fizzles, right? So VWAP fizzlers have been working. You know, that's something to just kind of be mind of. Man, I see in this, you know, we're seeing this pattern a lot. And then once that happens, right, you can start to kind of shake this thing down and you'll get some really, really good range. So watch Domo, Domo at the open, ORB, quick pullback buy, or if it pops up and does neither, then we'll take a VWAP fizzler on this bad boy and we'll watch it for later. And then I like Docu, kind of. So there's a couple aspects of this. You know, you've got a flat bottom breakdown on the daily chart over here. Now, so it is busting down. The issue is that it's starting to already kind of ramp in the pre-market. So what's happening is like if, you know, I don't use pre-market data like once the market turns on. But what's going to happen is like say you started ORB right around here. Well, if you start ORB right around here, there's still going to be all this like, right, price action from pre-market that can act as support. And so it actually makes the setup unclean. And so you really need to start to clear some of the resistance to get that thing going, and then it's going to be a lot better. Da-da, da-da. Kelly, what you got? JPC, Roku, Lift. Good. Guys, what are you watching? Justice, got pins, plans, AMD, AVR, Snap. Okay. Let me check Snap for you, brother. Snap is not bad. You know what, Justice? You've been making good lists lately. All right, so these are the earnings plays. Let's talk about the non-earnings plays, right? So there's a couple of stocks that we want to watch. Plan, right? This was kind of our favorite for yesterday. This one had just that monster break over 45. Okay, so you've broken over on the daily. Now it's right day 1 of the breakout. So what do? 3 options. Okay, so if we open weak, we go red to green. If it holds here and we start to spike up at the open, right, wait for an ORB or a quick pullback buy, right? That first pullback to either the 9 or 20 EMA, get a little confirmation that's going to hold, and then go, right? So I love this one. It's actually got really good liquidity and 4.3 million shares yesterday. So you can get in and out really easily, which is important to me. Liquidity is everything, right? How many times we played JMIA in the chat room where we buy it and then we're all just waiting on each other like, man, nobody's trading this fucker anymore, right? Like it looks like it's got volume, it's got liquidity. We're all in it and then we're all just waiting for, you know, with our dick in our hands, waiting for this thing to drop because nobody's playing it except us. So we want liquidity. AMD was hot to trot. 1 test, 2 test, 3 test. What kind of pattern is this, guys? That's called a flat top breakout, right? Flat top breakouts are very, very powerful. If you have a multi-month base, right, the longer the pattern, the longer the secondary move can be, right, in terms of a measured move. So we have day 1 yesterday. It was up 7%. Now, right, what happens next? This is a thicker stock, right? So you want to make sure when you play this one that you play it on pullbacks. Guys, thicker stocks always work better on pulls. Like if you try to buy a thick stock at breakout, it'll go up 2 candles, it'll pull back, and you'll be like, oh my God, the breakout failed, right? Thicker stocks you want to push, buy the hit pullback, push, buy the pullback, push, buy the pullback. If you buy breakouts on thick stocks, they'll just go up for a little bit and then they'll come back, right? And you'll be like, oh my God, breakouts are failing. I do that all the time. I was grading everybody's trades yesterday. I had like 5 people trade AMD on breakouts. And in their notes, it was like, market was so choppy, breakouts were failing. And it's like, no. The market wasn't choppy. You're choppy, right? The market wasn't weak. You're weak. No, I'm just kidding. It's mostly because of the float. A bigger float, you can't buy like little patterns like flags and stuff, right? A flag pattern can be nice, but it is more conducive to like a pure momentum stock with a really lower float that can have shorter patterns. A thicker stock like an AMD or like a bank stock or something like that, those are thick stocks. They have heavy float, tons of volume. You got to hit those on dips. Look at the volume on this thing, right? This thing is thick, man. It's thick as Chris Shoesmith's girlfriend. Like it's a big, bubblicious, maple syrup eating Canadian, this AMD. So you got to hit this thing right up on, dips. Look at the VWAP areas and stuff like that to see if they start to hold. Roku's been a daily trader for us, so there's no it's just in a trend right now. Guys, if you find a nice stock in a trend, you don't need an individual pattern necessarily on the daily chart to be trading it. As long as it has momentum, you can still keep shredding it to the upside till it gets, excessively extended and it starts to look like a short. I got MDB on watch for over 150. This probably could be even a swing trade if it starts to break. Well, you got two aspects. You got day trading, and you got swing trading. Swing trading is where you hold multiple days, which is better for people with jobs that, they could get fired at. Now, most of you guys probably don't work and live in your mom's basements or, trade out of your cars or God knows what that you're doing at work. So you won't even have to worry about that. But for the regular people, swing trading is a good way to at least stay in the trading game while not getting fired. This LJPC's got a lot of heat today. Let me see if it's got borrow. So yesterday, guys, LJPC was easy to borrow. What easy to borrow means is that, man, if guys like me and you can go and get borrows on this thing without having, specialty broker, having to trade it, freaking some CFD place or, specialty broker where they charge you for borrows, then it's easy to borrow. So what happens when a stock is easy to borrow? This is what typically happens. Most of us never have the borrows or short a lot of these high-flying penny stock type plays. So when one of them is available, right, all the noobs come in and they want to short the shit out of it because they can finally get one, right? And they're like, oh my God, this thing's a turd, right? And because everybody can short it and it's easy to borrow, they can squeeze really, really aggressively. This thing was easy to borrow yesterday, which was, one of the reasons you stay away from it that's one of the reasons you don't short it. When your grandma can sit there playing with her cat and short this thing, that's a no buenos, right? These things have the ability to squeeze because the shorts are going to pile into it. So I think this thing still may have some upside on it, even though it's up 100%. As long as it can hang out over this 200 SMA, good to go. But if it doesn't, leave it alone. So if it's under the 200, you cannot even attempt to play this thing, right? But if it's over, then it's good to go. Ah, shit, CM's not even waiting for us, is it? Mother trucker. The things I do for you guys. See that? I should be shredding this thing right now in the pre-pre. The things I do for love. Yeah, I didn't want to wait. That's okay. Da-da, da-da. We find another one. We find another one. All right, cool. And then I got a shop on the list too. This is more of a daily trader too. This thing's going to need a little bit of a pullback now. When you have day 4 of a move, you can only hit stocks on dips. Days 1 and 2, you can buy strength. Days 3, 4, you got to wait it out. So guys, it's Friday. You know what that means. Don't screw up. Don't screw up. It's summertime. Go have some fun. Attempt to talk to some ladies. Most of us be playing video games and stuff, but you know how it goes. We'll go do what we do. All right, so Friday, showtime. Let's have a little fun.